Welcome to day 178 of 66 and 26. It is Wednesday, which means wisdom literature in the Old Testament. Specifically, today we're in the book of Psalms. Last week, we just passed the halfway mark through the book of Psalms. There are 150 Psalms total. We got through Psalm 75 last week. We're in Psalms 76 through 79 today. If you look at the heading of each of the Psalms that we have this week, we see an attribution to a man named Asaph. Asaph was one of three men that was assigned by King David to be leaders of the choirs of worship during his time when the tabernacle was still in existence, before the temple was built. And Asaph was one of those choir directors. We don't know if all the Psalms specifically were written by Asaph or one of the descendants of Asaph, but all the collections of Psalms that we're reading this week and next week are known as Asaphite Psalms. They're all attributed to this man, Asaph. One of the things that you notice about all these Psalms is that there really is a call on God to rescue his people from distress, and usually that's distress that comes from surrounding nations and oppressing peoples that are coming in against the nation of Israel and Judah. And we specifically see that in these Psalms again. One of the things I see in Psalm 77, this is in verses 11 and 12, the psalmist says, "I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will meditate on all your works and consider all your mighty deeds." It's a way of saying, while I'm experiencing trouble and hardship and persecution and oppression in this present time, I'll recall the past when, God, you have worked for your people in the past, and so call to mind your mighty deeds, knowing that you will be faithful now as you were faithful in the past. And then in the next Psalm, Psalm 78, the psalmist really rehearses all those times when God was faithful, even when the people of Israel were not faithful to him. And he's calling on the nation of Israel to remember collectively, not just he himself remembering God's work, but the whole nation remembering that. The psalm that is right in the middle of today, Psalm 78, is the second longest psalm in the entire book of Psalms. Psalm 119 is the only one longer. Psalm 78 is the second longest at 72 verses in Psalm 78. And just going through the history of Israel from the time of God bringing the plagues upon Egypt and rescuing them through a pillar of cloud and pillar of fire and through the Red Sea, and then giving them manna to eat and being faithful to the people even when they rejected him, questioned him, grumbled against him and all. God was still faithful. And so the psalmist is calling on his fellow Israelites to remember how God was faithful back then, knowing that he will be once again faithful now. And we can learn a lesson from that, seeing all through the Bible. And one of the reasons why we're doing 66 and 26 and reading through the entire Bible this year is so that we can see over and over and over again God's work of grace and mercy, his powerful displays of rescue for his people, all through the history of mankind, so that we can trust, as God has been faithful in the past, he'll be faithful now and always into the future.